Viewers, it's been a while since we had Professor M.D. Nalapat over for a hangout, and today is a very, very special day because some of his writings and initiatives, his thoughts expressed in Sunday Guardian are starting to bear fruit. I'm going to come to that in just one second, but let's first welcome Professor Nalapat to our channel. Professor Nalapat, namaskaram and welcome to P Guru's channel.
It's always an honor to be sharing a screen with you, Sri.
So pleasure is all mine, sir. You are such a rarefied person up there, and you such a wealth of knowledge. And it's indeed a pleasure for me that you could find time to share your thoughts on this. So, yours, I'm going to set the context here for you. Last week, you had this array of synchronized time-wise synchronized tweets coming from Rihanna, from Greta Thunberg, people who had no clue. Even if you gave them a globe and tell me where is India, they might find difficult to find out where they are. Yet they were all weighing in on the farmers' agitation. And guess what? The Canadian Prime Minister, perhaps egged on by his one of his partners who had wanted to say that he was with Khalistan. He was a Khalistani sympathizer for sure, and even the prime minister starts saying that he's concerned about the farmers of India. And then guess what happened? Mr. Trudeau has actually now asked or requested Prime Minister Narendra Modi for some vaccines. So does it mean that India should forget all the other stuff that was spewed out and then say, okay, now I will do this, but at least do some house cleaning? I hope they do that. Sir, this came about because of ceaseless diplomacy. There's a lot of background work that went on, people who set their egos aside and said, there is a greater cause here, there's a greater good here. I just want you to kind of share with our viewers your thoughts on how this change of thought came about.
Well, I believe that this call came as a result of pressure from the opposition parties in Canada, and they asked some minister in Trudeau's cabinet, who also seemed to be clueless about where India was, by the way, judging by the responses I'm seeing in social media about her interaction with the opposition leaders. And the Canadians were searching for vaccines, and she was obviously asked, "Have you been in touch with India?" And has the Prime Minister been in touch with Prime Minister Modi? And the poor lady said, well, not to my knowledge. And then, of course, the obvious question, went unanswered. When India is the world's largest producer of vaccines, and you claim, as the minister claimed, that you're scouring the world to search for vaccines for the not very large population of Canada, and you don't talk to the Prime Minister of India and you're Justin Trudeau, well, what does that say about your common sense or indeed your dedication to the cause of keeping Canadians safe from this particular virus that has come from a country where both Trudeau as well as his father have known very well, a very wonderful country, a very wonderful people. But so I think, frankly, we have to thank the opposition parties in Canada. And secondly, we have to thank Prime Minister Modi because he completely forgot the what do I say, the unpleasantness of the past. And the Canadian people are friends of India. The Canada is an ally of India, and Prime Minister Modi has treated Canada as much more than just some Justin Trudeau who wants to carve out one more partition of India. The first partition killed nearly 3 million families of that very glorious community in India, the Sikh community. About 3 million were affected, and most of them were killed in the most horrible circumstances in 1947, 48. I mean, what happened to the Sikhs in Pakistan? Demolished. And what happens? You have a small group of individuals who call themselves under a very noble flag and who completely are hand in glove with the killers of their own people way back in 47, 48. Many of the diplomats, the army officers, of Pakistan, where these groups in Canada are friendly with, are living in homes, in properties vacated by the Sikhs who were either forced to flee or who were murdered. Well, this is frankly, I can only say these people have forgotten anything to do with Sikh history, with Sikh traditions. And I again want to repeat, I'm glad Prime Minister Modi again mentioned it. They're an extremely glorious people, an extremely glorious tradition. But I'm sorry to say the group that Trudeau has embraced is completely alien to that tradition, and it's a group that is embracing the killers, the rapists, the goons who affected so many millions of Sikh, innocent Sikh families in the Western Punjab. And may I point out finally, Sri, the Western Punjab would have been 10 times more prosperous today if the Sikhs had continued there. The Sikhs make wherever they go prosperous. And Western Punjab is the loser because the Sikh community was driven out, murdered, raped, assaulted, butchered by the same people who are the masters of this small cabal that Justin Trudeau somehow seems to have fallen in love with.
Well, it's not just even that. Now I'm hearing that a lot of the upper echelons of the Pakistan government, once they retire, they are seeking immigration and they are actually coming to Canada. So, Jagmeet and my brothers, Sikhs and brothers and sisters of Canada, this is history repeating itself. They are going to come there too.
Look, I only want to say, Sri, that Canada has a slightly weird immigration policy. They don't welcome South Indian techies like yourself. You are welcomed in the United States. You settled here, and it's a smart country. And now it's again become a smart country under Joe Biden. I'm happy to say, but it was not very smart when tried to block H1B and tried to block Indians from coming in. But because of the Indian complexion was not sufficiently free of a tan. But the reality is that the Canadians allow anyone to come in who speaks French. So a large number of individuals who have come who may speak French, but who also are sympathizers of groups that are going to cause problems to Canada, problems to the United States, problems to India in the years to come. So frankly, a large number of people have settled in Canada over the last several years, and I just hope that they will have a change of heart now that they are Canadian citizens. But whether that happens or not, I don't know. One thing I can tell you, the Pakistan ISI and military people whose hands are soaked in the blood of innocents because of their indulgence in terrorism, whose pockets are stuffed with money from the narco trade. Well, these people are not going to change their spots. And if Canada wants to welcome them, well, good luck, Canada.
Well, you mentioned an interesting point. The French that I have heard spoken around in India is heavily accented, and I think the French have been very large-hearted to allow all these words to come into their vocabulary. But it's a very, very interesting thing that you pointed out. But
No, it's a very noble culture. France is a very great culture and a very great country, but regrettably, that's created a loophole, if I may say so, for immigration. I think one has to be very clear. Democracies must allow only migration of individuals whose mindsets are congruent with democracy. And if it is shown from their social media posts, from their linkages, that their minds have not been congruent to democracy and the best practice of democracy, quite the reverse. In my view, democracies have a duty to keep them out. I hope President Biden will listen to this sometime because that's a mistake which Trudeau is making today, which Biden should not make tomorrow.
And viewers, in this channel, we may come across as being critical of Mr. Modi, but in this one, we tip our hat to him. He did a fantastic job. He forgot all about the other things that, Canada, all the venom that was spewed, and he said, Manav Seva is Madhav Seva. And coincidentally, Professor Nalapat's first name is Madhav Das Nalapat. it just came out. It was a coincidence. I didn't mean it. But it was a very nice effort on part of the Indian government to forget all the other things that, certain persons may have uttered something, but yet, life of a human being is much more precious. And I salute the Indian government for doing this. And sir, if you want to add something before we wrap up this
No,
conversation,
I
please
want
go ahead.
I want to add that, Prime Minister Modi, ably served by Minister Jaishankar, I mean, he has been very good at picking out ideas that he feels are valuable. Now, I'll just give you a recent, initiative of the MEA, and that is to send vaccines to the Pacific Islands. These are a important part of the system, a very important future part of the security system of the Indo-Pacific. And frankly, I mean, they're seen as just points on a map. But India has reached out to them and is sending COVID vaccines to them. And I think that's a brilliant initiative of Minister Jaishankar. I commend him as far as vaccine diplomacy is concerned. This idea has been suggested by I mean, but it is the gift of the Prime Minister that he chooses the ideas that are worthwhile, and vaccine diplomacy is something the Prime Minister embraced from the very beginning. And I can tell you, it is a very important reason why, despite all the efforts at maligning him, maligning India, I can tell you, Prime Minister Modi is acknowledged as among the top 4 statespersons of the world.
Yes, indeed, and this one event is proof of that. And Professor Madhavdas Nalapatji, Namaskaram, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again with more such very out of the left field conversation, because I don't think anybody has made this connection yet. And I hope that you understand that this is a very significant point in history for both these countries. Thank you very much, sir, and hope to see you soon again.